Hi everyone. Yesterday I was thinking about about things that you put your parents through. I went to Quest to get some blood work done yesterday. And there was a woman in there with a little boy, and I don't know who was getting the blood work. But when I was young, I was terrible. I mean, absolutely awful when it came to going to the doctor or the dentist because back then it seemed like all the doctors did, no matter what was wrong with you, they gave you a shot of penicillin. That was the end all and cure all. I was asthmatic and I had bronchitis frequently as a young child. And every time, out came the needle and I would scream bloody murder. And my poor mother, now, I feel guilty thinking about it. Doctors also made house calls a lot. And so the doctor would come to the house with his little black bag and his little vial and his little needles. And at least I was yelling and screaming at home and not at the doctor's office. He used to give me the syringes when he finished. Now, can you imagine? I was able to keep those. And I had a favorite bear, a little stuffed bear. I think it was almost like a panda because I think parts of the fur were white and parts were black, of course. I loved having food coloring. My mom used food coloring for various things. So when the doctor would leave me these syringes, I would mix up water and food coloring, and the poor bear would get the injections. But eventually the poor bear was black, and then he had blue and red and purple and green splotches all over where I had injected him with food coloring and water. But I was thinking about, back then they didn't send you to the lab to have blood drawn or anything. Thank goodness, because I'm sure that would have been an unpleasant scene. There was one. I had my adenoid. I had tonsils and adenoids removed. My adenoids grew back, and so I had to have them removed a second time. Well, as some doctor somewhere decided they might need to do some kind of a treatment or something on my throat or on my, anyway, they sent me to Cleveland Clinic to be examined for possible radiation. I was on the examining table, and whatever the doctor said or whatever the doctor did, I was probably about, I don't know how old, probably 6, 5, I don't know how old I was. Anyway, I rolled off of that table I got between the table and the wall. The doctor was furious. He fussed at my mother. He said, "Don't you ever bring her back until she's ready to be seen," or something like that. Well, my poor mom, that was it. We never went back to see about it. Probably 40 years later, I read something in somewhere, maybe it was Reader's Digest, I don't know where it was, a report that during the 40s that they had done these treatments with a number of people with radiation on their thyroid, and there was a high incidence now of those people suffering from thyroid cancer. So I was grateful. I thought, well, I didn't know at the time, but I may have saved myself exposure to excessive radiation and possible cancer because I rolled off the table. But are there things that you feel guilty about that you put your parents through? Because I feel sorry for my mother having to deal with me with my screaming and yelling and carrying on at doctors. And when it came to the dentist, I think she just said, "Hey, if you want rotten teeth, you have rotten teeth," because she didn't fight that one. And by the time I was in junior high, I had some cavities, I was self-conscious, and then I willingly went for dental care. But, I never have liked hospitals and doctors. Even to this day, I go, but I'm not thrilled. So anyway, that was part of my memory yesterday while I was sitting there waiting to have my blood drawn. So cherish the memories and pass them on.